Guys, M12 Warthog here. I am back with another strategy guide video, and today we are going to talk about the importance of building your base and base structure focus in air superiority, and how it allows you to have good control over the map of Geothermal Borehole for Supreme Commander 2 using the UEF, as I believe that's the strongest one if you want to make a good structural base. And talk about how this happens, especially with this defense grid I've made. So, before, it was originally just a bunch of artillery scattered all over the place. Then I sort of clumped it together and made a line of energy shields down the middle. And now, recently, I've learned that it's probably better to add energy generators on the side to make an additional 10, so you have 20 generators going. And the reason for this is because they have engineer towers, and those can heal things. And heal and build. But they cannot start to build themselves. You can't tell them to build a turret. But if you set someone to start building a turret, and then move them away from the turret, someone else will... An engineer tower on an energy generator will pick up where they left off. Now, mainly, what I'm planning on doing here is pretty much making my base impenetrable. You can literally not get their hands on it. Now, the reason for this is I keep all of my research stations together because of the factory add-ons here. Factory add-ons are additional add-ons to a structure that does more damage or better performance than the standalone unit. So, the standalone AA heavy anti-air tower is not going to do as much as the add-ons that are on all of these individually. But, seeing as it takes up less room to place down these anti-air towers, I put down more of them in said areas, and so forth. Now, the key thing here is that I pretty much have air superiority right over my base and anywhere here, because I focus all of my military units here. Now, of course, when it comes to using big platforms such as this, you want to make sure it is well defended. And it seems to be the case here, as I'm getting attacked quite often and very frequently. Now, I could literally bombard and attack anyone who comes near me if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. The green faction is attacking me. They are a UEF faction. Now, for this, I set all factions opposing me to random, all of them on the same team. 2 of them are hard AIs, one of them is hard turtle, hence why they're nuking me, but I feel like that's a challenge, so you have to also worry about that as well. And I want to get rid of these experimental air units, as the second they crash down on something, once they're destroyed, it does massive damage to it. And you can't avoid, even if it's covered or protected by energy shields, it still does a lot of damage. And that is the biggest threat, is if they try to suicide with these units. Although, to reduce the effect of that, which was one of the biggest weaknesses of the defense grid, before I decided to add on the engineer towers, well, not so much engineer towers, so much as energy generators, which happen to have engineer towers on them, to the mix. So, combined with that, pretty much any ground unit army that comes near me is, well, not going to get inside the base. If they get too close, they'll get shot up by these turrets here, these heavy point defenses. Now, they have to pretty much go through 4 layers of energy shield if they're shooting coming from this direction towards me before they can even be able to damage me or get inside the shield area and fire at them, which I doubt is going to be the case, is because the artillery is either going to destroy all of the units that come there or thin out the herd so much that they wouldn't even be able to get past the last layer of the shield before they can do their damage to the turrets or anything to my defense grid. Now, on the other hand, I do have the capabilities here to do massive damage or by targeting specific units or structures here, which I like. Now, you can see that if you have air superiority, you can do a butt ton of damage. You can see here, something big blew up, and I did not use a nuke. As a matter of fact, for this video, I decided to challenge myself by not using experimental fortifications, units, or structures. I just, out of habit, researched them, but I have not used any of those. Now, I have blown up and made a nuclear explosion here by attacking the enemy ACU, and I usually try to get core dump like before the 20-minute rush timer's up, or whatever, which I find to be more of a challenge to have that up than anything, rather than not having it there, because at the 20-minute mark, you have to have good defenses, otherwise 3 huge armies coming down on top of you, rather than sending a few units at a time to scout out what you're doing and that kind of stuff. So, I have to keep this group at bay from firing nukes at me, and I have to attack some of these other areas at the same time. Now, it's kind of hard to do all of that, but at the same time, I still find ways to make it work. And at the same time, I have such a big surplus of energy, it's not even funny. I'm actually considering making a second mass converter so I can tell them to convert mass at the exact same time. That's how I feel about this. Alright. So once I get a large amount of mass that I can convert due to base building and have a steady supply of energy, which encourages you to base build a lot once you get your first mass converter, you can do a whole lot more. You just have to, instead of just relying on your mass extractors to give you mass, which you're limited on your placement of that, you also can rely on your energy generators, which I got as many upgrades as I can. Matter of fact, I've researched everything at this point, as far as I know, unless I missed something. Although I definitely know I got the ones I'm going to use. I even researched naval stuff, and you can't even put Navy here. Anyway, our latest intel tells me that they do not have a nuke silo yet, but I'm pretty sure they're going to build one. Again. Alright. So, now what I'm going to do, see how much I have. Okay, I gotta wait for that to build. That's the biggest problem here, is waiting for you to build another full-on Air Force army. So, I'm actually gonna go there and start making more air bases to do this. Air factories and so forth. But this is literally firing like 24/7 though. And it's not firing in unison for some reason, like it normally would. I feel like that's because some of them fire faster than others. I don't know. know about that part. But anyway, the fact is that if I build my entire army, attacking army that I'm going to use to attack with, so that means all of my offensive units that I'm going to be using to attack with are all of the same type, that's good because we outnumber, whether it be air or on ground, and we can do a lot of damage. Now, I prefer air as, one, bridges are being used as choke points for defense. You can just talk to my defense grid here. Any large army that comes down here just gets obliterated if it's land because of all the amount of artillery that I have coming at it. So, best way to get around stuff like that people will most likely do, you make an air army of air units and so forth. Let's build all of these. Then go here and repeat that build. Alright. I also have a few engineers that support and build these faster, but if you think about it, if you put the maximum of 3 on each individual factory, that's going to be a lot of engineers that are taking up your unit limit for your army to a point that can affect how many you get and how many you can use. Now, usually they attack the wasps first, so you're definitely going to have a much better time to bomb stuff if you have a decent amount of bombers, as long as you have some fighters with it, but they're also there to escort them and protect them against fighters themselves. Fighters can attack other air units, but they have no air-to-ground capabilities. Bombers only have air-to-ground, but nothing to air-to-air capabilities of any kind. So, we know that the red faction, which I'm going to call them because that's the color of their units, are pretty much weakened because their whole base went nuclear. Which is not the best thing ever if you're on the bad end of that, so, well, I'm gonna focus on destroying what they have left of a base. Definitely know these guys are gonna build a nuke silo to nuke me later on. But here, you can see, if you just focus on base building, you can literally make yourself untouchable. They can raid, but they won't be, and they'll do some damage, but I've never lost structures, with the exception of the air experimentals, but not by damage that they do, because we have so many energy shields, but by when they crash and land on your structures and do damage that way. It's the only time that it's ever done that. So, with the amount of artillery and stuff I have going on here, you can see what's going on here, and that I don't worry about ground units. I've completely eliminated that off my list of things to worry about. Plus, if anything, if any part of that gets damaged, I have stuff there to rebuild it. Engineer towers from the energy generators. I can even tell an engineer to start building, to rebuild the fortification, then tell to start building another one, and we'll start building that one, and an engineer tower will pick up where the engineer left off. So I made it so not only can I rebuild fast, but also have the engineers help rebuild as well in a timely manner. Now, because of this, it makes sense that they move their base outwards this way. Now, by the fact that they blew up with their enemy ACU went nuclear and blew up, shows me one thing, that they might not have had core, which means that they don't have core dump, obviously, but they didn't have the attack that you get before that, which is escape pod, because I feel like, yes, that makes sense that you get an escape pod and you can rebuild your ACU, but But at the same time, I feel like it probably would have gotten caught in the nuclear blast as well. Anyway, they have two Colossuses. They're not really going to do much for now. Pull and smash, that thing's going to be a bit of an issue, so I want to get rid of that as well. And they're using the NOAA unit cannon launcher. And where are they landing these units? They're firing them off into the void. Well, if they want to launch their own units to their own death, I'm not going to stop them. Anyway, so as you can see here, the next strongest person with the best control, I would say, would be the green guys, as they have great control, whether it be from launching attacks from a far distance. But the fact that you can maintain a stronghold on your area, and it allows you to control areas outside of that, is pretty much a good key indicator that you know what you're doing when it comes to a map like this, such as the only, like, cross point between everyone's base is this middle area here, unless you are primarily using air units, like myself. And now I gotta get rid of those anti-air units. Gonna send all of these over here as well. Just gonna tell it to go there rather than to take out a unit, because then all these ones that are coming over here will stop once that unit's destroyed. So just by telling you to go there, the ones that are over there will still attack units. Alright. But the only thing I really need to worry about so much, really, base-wise, is that you have to constantly keep making anti-nukes. If someone is going the route of, we're gonna keep trying to nuke you. It's not working before, but we still think somehow it's gonna work and they're gonna keep trying to do it. Alright. I'm gonna convert some of this mass here. So now that I have this here, I feel like I have such a strong hold on this, I could very well make as many nuke silos as I wanted and have them constantly store up nukes and get it to the point where one nuke defense silo would not be able to shoot down all of these by making multiple ones. Like, make 5, you could launch them in... You could launch 5 nukes at a time, but keep constantly telling it to, because a nuke defense silo can house up to 10 nukes for anti-nukes, and a nuke silo is only 5. So, over here, I'm controlling pretty much anywhere I move my air unit to, I have control. Unless it's directly over someone's base, where they have the home field advantage. Anyway, the main point is, I am demolishing my enemies here with control over the map and focusing down on one point when I do so, and not splitting up my armies. Like, some will leave some of their units to defend and some to attack, but you definitely want to use them all in one area or none at all in one area, but don't split them up. Now, because I feel like all the structures and fortifications that they had are gone, the red faction cannot rebuild. Unless I... Actually, wait. That's an engineer. I guess they could rebuild with that, but... Okay, now they can't rebuild. Alright. Still have a few ground units, which will be a little annoying to deal with, but now I'm gonna go here. Now, because they have such great control over trying to attack us, I mean, yes, they are trying to maintain control outside of their base, but it's not really that much of an issue. Because they're not doing right. They're like, their NOAA unit cannons aren't launching their units where they should be. Apparently they have a unit down somewhere right there. Okay. Why and how are they doing that? I don't know why, but oh well. It's too far into the game to say that they don't have, that our enemy here clearly does not have core dump. They most certainly do. But the main objective here is, given enough time with this strategy, I will be able to slowly take all of them out one at a time. But I'm going to have to focus on attacking one person to make sure they don't do a certain thing, but then constantly attack another guy and then swap back and forth when I do so. But I never separate my army units, ever. So once they start building, then I start to attack. Once I start building a good-sized army, I tell them to attack, but I don't want to send reinforcements because they'll be caught out with small numbers in the middle of a battlefield, and I want them to move in large numbers to ensure that they get out of there alive, pretty much. So, I hope you like this strategy that I talked about here today, about having air superiority in controlling the area of the map. If you guys enjoyed watching this strategy guide, feel free to let me know by leaving any comments, questions, or feedback for me in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys